In this episode of E-commerce Insiders, A Journey to Success, I interview Ken Shankman of Bulk Candy Store, revealing his journey from state fairs to e-commerce success. Ken shares invaluable insights on adapting to the digital market, the importance of differentiation, and leveraging family collaboration. He emphasizes customer trust, personalization, and the strategic approach to multi-channel retailing on platforms like Etsy, Amazon, and Walmart. Ken's story is a masterclass in innovation, resilience, and the power of understanding your niche, offering key takeaways to anyone in the e-commerce space. Hey, Ken, good morning. Thanks for hopping on E-commerce Insiders. For our listeners, to give you the immediate information, I have known Ken Shankman for years. We have been working together for a few years, and today I want to focus on his business and on his family and how everything got started and has grown to where it is. So, Ken, thank you very much for hopping on with us this morning.
Hey, Chris, thanks for having me on. So basically, our business started years and years ago at state fairs. My brother was selling icy, like the smoothie or like the Slurpee drink, at state fairs and festivals. Someone talked him into starting a candy business, and he started setting up 2,000 square feet of candy at state fairs and festivals all over the country. And I came on about 10 years later, about 20 years ago, when the web was young, we'll say, and built a website so we could start doing this. We've been to several locations. We finally settled on this place where we are right now. So right now we have a retail store in West Palm Beach. We again sell at fairs and festivals all over the U.S. and supply some of the people who do that. And we have our website, which is bulkcandystore.com.
That's awesome. And that was one of the reasons, and like we just talked about offline, was for our listeners who are starting stores, or maybe they have a retail store that they're looking to go online. I thought you'd be the perfect guest for that, knowing kind of the transformation that Bulk Candy Store has taken. I know it's a family-run business. I know you have your focuses on certain things. How do you guys, knowing the amount of orders you guys are doing every single month, the amount of fairs you guys are doing, and the retail aspect, without getting into the weeds immediately, how are you guys managing those different verticals? And then how do you prioritize the e-commerce side of things?
It boils down to two things. The most important part is, as far as you talk about a family business, and the key to any family business, and in particular here, because we do have a number of different areas, is everyone has their own sort of niche. We all cross over and help each other, but for example, my brother pretty much is in charge of the road. He's the one who goes out on the road and he handles that. When he's in house, he handles a lot of the store merchandising and decorating and things when he's here. I'm more technical, legal, marketing side, and mom handles the books and other things like that. So that really helps. That and having a good crew and a good tech stack are really important. We discovered a few years ago everything was getting very complicated. We needed good inventory software that cuts across everything we do, and that really helps. It's really your tech stack and your people.
Having come to your retail location, also seeing the back end of the retail location, how has not that you guys manufacture the goods, but how does the fulfillment work for your location to get the number of orders you have going out every month? Obviously, you have a huge warehouse space. So what does the inventory management look like and shipping go from the fulfillment side of the business?
Again, a lot of it is tech and people. We use ShipStation, which we find very helpful. One of the reasons we switched from what we're using before to ShipStation and it has changed our shipping dramatically is they have a scan. They have an option where someone can scan and then they scan the order and then they have to scan the items into the order. It cuts down problems and it cuts down time, and that's been a big help. We have two or three different people who can pack orders. We have people to pull orders. So again, it's just a matter of building a system that works for us or for you, you know, and it really, a lot of it, especially now, has to do with your tech stack and having someone smart in the back to run it too.
Yep, understood. So I think that's a perfect segue. Knowing that there are issues all the time with growing businesses, we've both experienced them. You and I have experienced them together in certain aspects in marketing. Over the years, especially with the focus being on the e-commerce side of bulkcandystore.com, what have been some of the bigger challenges you've experienced in terms of either scaling or sustaining based on kind of market conditions, maybe?
Hmm. It's um, scaling and sustaining would be the right thing, would be the right words. Those are the two things that we've had probably the most the biggest challenges with, and that's because the market has changed dramatically since we first launched in '98 or something. Back then, it was, you know, the web was something new; it was unheard of, and you put up stores and you sold stuff. Now, now you have to worry about, you know, my first website I built from scratch, wrote the code, modified the code for years to keep it going, and then it just becomes too much. The security hassles and everything else. So you've got to keep up with the code. So software was an issue, and that's changing now a little bit. But I really think the big part is competition, and because when we started out, there was no Amazon, there was no Walmart online, there was no Etsy, and that changed the landscape tremendously. Items that we sell are pretty much commodities, right? And between Amazon and Walmart, and the fact that anyone can open it on Amazon, and anyone can go build their own website with Wix or GoDaddy or Shopify or whatever, a lot more competition is out there now. So that's been a big problem for us because as we add products, you know, we're adding new cool products. So are 17,000 other websites selling the same item. So it's caused us to change the way we do business a little bit.
Okay. Now, I don't think we got into it too much. For our listeners, what are you guys selling?
We sell, we like to think of ourselves as people who sweeten everybody's day, but we sell primarily candy. Also, we sell a line of snacks. We sell over 70 flavors of popcorn. We have a few products that we make ourselves, like a liquid candy. We sell cashews and other flavored nuts. So we have a variety of things. But if you looked at our catalog right now, 75 to 80% of it is candy. And right now, a very large chunk of that is just regular nostalgic candy and candy favorites, and also a lot of freeze dried, which seems to be the latest
Yep.
trend.
Now, speaking from experience, bulk candy stores popcorn is probably the best popcorn hands down I've ever tried in my life. So I will make sure to leave a link in the show notes so anybody can go purchase some popcorn from bulk candy
I
store.
appreciate that, and I concur, strangely
Yeah,
enough.
I mean it really is. So whenever we get the shipment for some of the things that we do for Ken, it's a good day at the Blue Water office for sure. It's also a day where we get to look at candy and we get to determine when we're scheduling out shoots so that we can finally get to eat it. Um, So with that, I know last year when we were working together through some Google Ads discussions and items, I think you may have had like an eye-opening experience when we pulled some
Yes.
numbers. Why don't we talk a little bit about the importance of understanding margin and lifetime value for people who are maybe at like, I don't know, 50, I don't know, 10, $20,000 a month in revenue, and
Right.
potentially are like beating their heads because they're like, I don't, there's nothing left in my bank account. What's happening right now?
Sure. So, as you know, what happened with us was we were doing well, and we engaged you guys to do some AdWords for us, and um, the work was great. I don't want to sound, but it's very difficult to, at this point in time, to advertise 2,000 products on Google successfully and get a good return on your investment. And what we decided in concert, actually, through conversations with you and us, we learned that we can't market everything. even so we really started to focus on our on the products that have the best margins and the best profitability for us. And in our case, that turns out to the things that we make, like our popcorn and our cashews and a few other things. So what we are actually going to do is build a separate website devoted just to the things that we do and we do well and we have control over. And that would be the advice that I would give anyone starting off. Don't we've been doing this. We've been selling candy for 20 years. I've got a 17,000 foot warehouse full of candy. We buy truckloads and whatever, so we can bring in 2,000 different items, and I have a way to support it at the fair and so forth. But as far as the internet, the real way to go is focus on your niche, focus on what you're doing, the stuff that's going to make you money. Everyone is selling gumballs and candy cigarettes, and but not as many people are selling popcorn or freeze dried candy, although they're getting a lot of them now. But get into your niche where you have more control over the cost of the product, the profit margin, um, and where you can make changes. I can make a change on what I'm selling, the size of the bag, how many ounces, whatever. I can make that here quickly based on data that I get on sales versus having to buy the bag from someone else and go, okay, do I raise the price another $7 because they just raised theirs? So it's a big difference.
Right. Now, when you did that little exercise, and I might be wrong, but were you aligned with the 80% of my revenue comes from 20% of what I sell? Was it
It's
close to
close.
that? Yeah.
It's close. I don't know if it's exactly 80/20. It's close to there. There are items that we sell just a whole lot of. If you do it by class, so I would say popcorn as a class, like not an individual flavor, but popcorn as a class works. And then there are some individual items we have that do very, very well for us. So it's close to 80/20. Um, the other stuff is kind of fluff that helps bring people in, or, just we have it. So it's there. We need it for the store too.
Again, knowing the business in bulkcandystore.com, one thing I wanted to get into was what has your experience been integrating your email marketing into boosting up. I don't want to give away what happens next, but going from a list, I think you had a list of 100,000 people, and I know you guys are now utilizing your email marketing. How has that affected the overall kind of digital aspect or the e-commerce side of your business on a monthly basis?
It's a game changer. And we were prior to getting a little more educated in it. Let's say we were using basic email, monthly emails, and some what are flows like abandoned cart flow, or what have you. But we started to devote a little more time with it. And again, I'm not touting Blue Water here, but they did an excellent job. No, but we started to work with you guys on
Just the setup.
make, right,
It
the
was just the
setup, the
setup.
setup. Right, you guys helped us build a framework and a theme,
You guys took
and
it
then
from
we
here.
took it from there.
Yeah.
And email accounts for some months between 20 and 30% of our revenue. Um, yeah, and that's really it's a game changer, and it's you're having especially when we're revamping our Google advertising, and we're relying much less on that. It helps keep everything moving well.
Yep. Yeah, I mean that's one of the things that I keep seeing, and people continue to say like email or SMS or both should account for 30% of revenue. And that initially it sounds like a huge number, but understanding, if there's a small list, of course that's going to be super challenging. But you guys with 20 years of contacts being built into a list, the fact that you guys are at that point is just awesome. And I know how much that affects the bottom line based on customer acquisition costs continuing to increase.
Right. There's an old saying that there's only three ways to increase business. Right. You can get more customers, get your customers to buy more, or get them to buy more often. I think that was Jay Abraham. And the truth is, email lets you do two and three a lot easier. You can get, a little pop up gives you new customers to market to, but once you've got them in there, um, you really you really have to use email because the email. It's not just the abandoned carts. We use email for telling people about their reward status. So people get rewards when they buy on our site, and we send them monthly updates of that. We send them new products. We're using our segmentation is key. I don't, I really years ago email was just email. Now the fact that I can segment out my customers and say, these people really like this product. A perfect example. There's a product that we sell. It's a coffee product that is very popular, and the manufacturer stopped making it for a while. So we had the last, 10 cases we had. I was able to segment out everyone who had bought that product in the past with a notice that said, hey, they stopped making it. We don't know when it's coming back. We have our last X number of cases. We sold out. We did an email just to those people and sold out in a day and a half.
Amazing. So
So
the
it's
key
really,
to that.
it's a very powerful tool.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that people kind of miss out on is being able to segment those out. Um,
Yes.
do you have any tips or suggestions on how to take, not technical on a step by step basis, but how to look at the contacts or the data in your email platform to start to break those apart to be more segmented and custom to those different people?
We, I've tried a couple of different ways. Some of them work, some of them don't. I think it boils down to knowing what your niches are. So in our case, outside of those special products like the coffee one I mentioned, you would base it on, I think, people who like nostalgia candy or big buyers. Another, one is, do I have frequent buyers? Do I have big buyers? You want to present your big frequent buyers, your VIP customers with different offers, and those are really good segments to work with. Um, those that's probably it. We do it by product. We look at it by sort of frequency of purchase and are you a big buyer or not. And then we also occasionally do things based on location. So if we have a fair coming up in a location, we will advertise that. Or if we have an event in our retail store, we'll segment out people who live in the area so we can advertise directly to them.
Okay, awesome. Now, you mentioned a few times tech stack, the changing of e-commerce in the online marketplace over the last 20 years. Knowing that you are just as big, and I say this with the best, most utmost respect, as big of a marketing kind of online nerd as I am, how do you find adapting? How quickly are you adapting? How quickly are you testing? How quickly are you turning off to kind of stay ahead of this ever changing, I don't know, self torturing industry that we're in?
That's an accurate description.
Yeah, it is. I
I,
mean,
I I harken back to the days when it was easy. Put it that way. I mean, I'm a veteran of when literally the first websites that we built were when search engines said we're going to look at the number of words on a page and the percentage of time your word appears there is how you're going to frame. And we would have long pages of white background with white text that said cruise, 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 cruise. When you search for cruise, you won because you had 9,000 of them, and a page with 9,100 words. I harken back to those days in a way because it was a lot easier. Um, it's difficult now, and it's difficult to stay on top of it. I do a lot of reading. I tend to focus on the areas that we can control more on our website. Uh, so I like to focus on keywords and descriptions and site speed and things that we can do on our end. I have personally given up on some of the other things, and this again is not, I'm not blatantly trying to pitch blue water here. I tell anybody who speaks to me now who wants to do well on some of those things like Facebook advertising or Google ads, I tell to find an expert. I just don't think Google ads used to be simple. You'd put it up, you would offer a bid, and you could go in and put in some negative keywords, and things were simple. Now with PMAX campaigns and retargeting and dynamic this and that, and the same thing with Facebook and audiences, it gets really complicated. And I don't personally have the time to sit and do it right, so I prefer to go to find someone. We've used several agencies in the past. Um, I'm not saying you don't have to go to Blue Water; they're good, but find someone. If you bring someone in house, you know, if your budget is $500, yeah, go try something very simple. But if you really are pushing it, unless you spend the time to learn, I think that's the big key. I focus on, like right now, where I said we are rebuilding our niche website. I'm focusing a lot on UX. I'm focusing on. I spent a lot of time focusing on the product page and ways to increase AOV, like with subscriptions and what have you. I'm focusing on that side because the other side, frankly, is getting too complicated. And I don't like it. It's not a pitch for anyone. There
An
are lots
ode
of
to warning.
videos. What's that?
It's a warning.
It's a warning.
Yeah.
You can blow five. Back when I first started, the way to I blew an entire week's budget um, because at the time when Yahoo was big and they had a CPC campaign, I blew my entire budget for the month in one day because I advertised the word gum, and I learned a valuable lesson. Now it's even easier. It's easier to blow it because you got all the different campaigns. I mean, I hear people talk about performance max campaigns, and I don't even. Yes, I understand and I look at it, but if you when you get to the point where you want to do significant advertising, I believe either get an in-house expert, find it, or find either an agency or an outside consultant or someone, because I think that's the key. Um, a lot of the on-page stuff I think people can do themselves. It those are simple tried and I think those are simple tried and true rules. Your page title, your content, your page speed, those are things that most people can handle in house. Even if you're a one man show and your description makes a world of difference in how Google sees you. But
Right.
how
And click
far
through
you
rates.
get, what's that?
And click through rates organically.
Exactly. Those are all huge, and those can be controlled in house, and that's what we spend our time on. The rest of it is just I think it gets too complicated, to be frank.
Now, mind you, Ken is speaking with 50, hundreds of thousands of organic users to his websites every month. And right now, as of Google Search Console, over 3,000 indexed URLs. So Ken's store is a multi SKU store
Right.
with an abundance of collection pages and organization that, at least speaking for myself, would make my head explode.
We're working on that, and what I will say is I don't know when we build the smaller niche site. I will probably get help from you guys on that, but that may be something where someone, if they want to start, all right, you say I want to go advertise on Google or Facebook. I would pick one, like we're going to niche for four different categories, let's say, not even collections, but four different areas. I would say pick one, Sarah, and I'm going to go advertise my popcorn or my freeze dried. And if you're going to start on your own, start there with a very small budget. And if you get success, build up slowly, because it's very easy to start blowing budgets, and you really want to make sure that whoever you do work with in the end is very sensitive to your budget. I find that the agencies and the consultants who have business smart people running that. I think it's important. Whoever you would go with, make sure that they're interested in not just earning their money, that they're interested in your business. So
Yeah, making use of money.
yeah,
Yeah. And I think that's perfect. So, and one of the things that we test all the time across all the different accounts is going to what you just were talking about in terms of the niching to one product or one category, is even when running the ads, and you've experienced this with Google ads, and we continue to experience it with Facebook, is like one ad for one SKU to one product page. The more you saturate your entire website and get people clicking around and going to what Ken just mentioned about the UI, the UX, focus on that one page that is going to get the sale, not the collection page with 100 SKUs, not the home page that tells your brand story. If they see an ad of a thing they want to buy, send them to the product page where they are able to buy it.
Right. And that's what you mentioned to me is a really interesting point because most people spend so much time on their homepage. And it is important because it's your face. But if you look at your analytics and your numbers, most people who find you do not find you through your homepage. They go to Google or Bing or whatever, and they do a search and they wind up on your product page, and then eventually maybe they hit your homepage. And most people's and that's why, like I said, I'm spending a tremendous amount of time trying to refine our product page on this new site because I think that's conversions happen on your product page, not on your homepage.
Right. 100%. I completely agree with you. Um, with that, how are you finding? What are some of the elements you're looking at when building these new product pages? So if someone's coming in kind of from scratch, they're still selling, they're at the 5-10K a month mark. They're like, okay, I have something here. Proof of sale exists. But they know their website, their friends are even telling them that it's not that good.
Right.
Which it's not. Um, what are some of the elements that you're looking at when you are putting together these new product pages for that UI, UX, and,
Mhm.
and conversion rate aspect?
I'm going to break it down into I think three areas. All right. One is the look. All right. It's got to look clean, neat. You have to have good images. I mean, images sell. The old adage that pictures worth 1,000 words, whatever. You need good product pictures that sell. That's number one. Number two, I think you need to give them all the information they need in a compact way so they can see it. So right now, I'm going to give you a personal example. On our website right now, in order to see the ingredients or the description, you need to tunnel down to a tabbed area below the fold. So what we're doing is we're putting in a brief little blurb description right on. So you have your image here. Right next to it will be a little blurb description of one or two word, one or two sentence description. The ingredients will be right there because a lot of people care about that. There'll be a tab, a collapsible tab. You click it open, it has your ingredients as a little section about. So let's take the popcorn for example. A little thing that gives you all the information. Our popcorn is cooked in oil, and coconut oil, whatever, all the things you need. And then I have the description down below that highlighting it. And then so that's two. So one is the look and feel. The other is going to be the information. And the third, and probably most important, is customer trust. Um, People, I don't know. I'm sure you're like me. You look at a website and go, "Wow, this guy is selling something that someone else is selling. He's selling it for a third of the cost." And you look at the site, and you just don't. You go, "I've never heard of them. I've never looked them up." Um, so customer trust is building that rapport is really important. And to do that, the first thing we're hitting, we have product reviews right on there. We have, and then a little further down, we have reviews for the actual products that people can see them. We're going to be adding things that show that we're real people. Our descriptions are people friendly. They're not mechanical. Like the idea is to build trust and let them know that they're dealing with indicators um, that we've been in business 30 years. Things like you want things like that on your pages. People who find a product page without going to your homepage, without clicking your about us, they can look and go, these guys are respectable.
Yeah, I think those are all really good insights. Um, is there any? I know that you're just getting into the world of Shopify. Are there any apps that you've found so far for that customer trust or reviews that you're liking so far?
We have one that we used before. It's called Judge.me, and I like it. So I'm starting off with that in Shopify. We were using it on BigCommerce, and I'm doing the. We were in BigCommerce before, and I'm doing this niche site on Shopify to try it out. And we're using Judge.me because it's simple,
Yeah.
it does the job, and it's inexpensive. And it's one of those things where we were using before on the other platform a much more expensive app that we don't need. It just had too much. So this is a good. I've seen a couple of other ones, and some of them do SMS requests. This does just email requests. So maybe we'll look at that at some point. But it's simple. It's actually free until you want some of the more advanced features, like you wanted to. They have on their advanced whatever version of it, their paid version, which is a whopping $15 a month. They which is nothing, as you know from an app. For $15 a month, they have a bunch of other features, including a feed to Google with your reviews. So I mean, that alone is worth the money, but it's simple to use. Their tech support is good. So that really goes a long way with building trust for us. And then the rest of the apps that we're using are trial. We're trying to figure out our subscription apps and what have you.
This is just a super nerdy question. Have you been able, and pardon me if this is uh, irrelevant, have you been able to pull the bulk candy store reviews from from Big Commerce to Shopify for the products that you're moving over?
Yes. Actually, it's a little more complicated than that, only because when we moved to Judge Me from what we had before, a lot of our reviews got messed up because the
Okay.
other company, the I'm not going to mention any names. The other company didn't code it. They didn't tie the reviews to the product IDs or anything. So a lot of things when they got brought to Judge Me, I have reviews that don't match the product. I have reviews that should be for product that's no longer. So I actually have someone. They have this nice feature where they can distinguish between imported reviews and new reviews that came from them.
Beautiful.
So I actually have someone. We imported them originally, and now she's going through the entire import list and fixing all of the reviews, getting them to where they belong, and then we'll be able to take all the reviews we have, filter them out for the items that we're moving over to the new site as well, and I'll be able to import those. So yes,
Beautiful.
the only difference will be they won't have the verified buyer
Sure.
stamp on it, but all those reviews will be there.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That's
That way,
awesome.
when we launch, we have instant credibility.
Right. And that's kind of where I was leading to. And like I said, it was just more of a conversational question because that's great. Love to
Right.
hear it. So knowing what's going on at the bulk candy store retail location, and you have a PhD next to your name and your email signature, I would
Yes.
I would like to talk a little bit of research and development and how you specifically, um, the scientist himself, is it goes about research and development and then taking something to market.
Well, we have a couple of different things that we're doing to market. We have a product that we developed. It's a liquid candy that there are other versions out there, but ours is a little bit more unique. So we've gone through several years of developing it. We have a longer game plan for it. For example, we developed a machine that people can put in their store where you can get multiple flavors of it, and that's later down the line. We A lot of our research is based on the data we get from our customers. So, and looking at our competitors. So, as a simple example, and we have this nice advantage that we have a very busy retail store. So, I don't want to say a captured market. I don't know how I would describe it, but I have a lot of people who come in the store. So, we test and sample with them. Um, we look at what trends are out there that make sense, and then we go and we say, all right, how can we do this? How can we do it better? And then we'll grab our customers and have them inform us. So, as an example, freeze dried candy is all the rage now. And we were a little slower to get into it because we wanted to spend our time looking at it. And honestly, what got us into it was um, we were selling on Etsy. That's another thing we can talk about, multi-channel sales. But we were selling on Etsy, and one of our staffers here said, we should be doing freeze dried candy. We have candy, we have a lot of candy. These guys aren't candy people. And then when I saw someone who sells vinyl cutouts, all of a sudden selling freeze dried candy, I said, okay, this is an opportunity we need to be in. So we did a little research into the market, what was being sold, and then we took it on full bore. Now, there are a lot of people selling freeze dried candy. I suspect we sell more than most of them, and that's because we have our own market, though. We sell to, the other thing I have is I have my own market in the state fairs and festivals that we sell to, but we had to research that as well. So what we did was took a small sample out to a fair, and it went crazy. It went crazy. We just did something. We just did. an event, the South Florida Fair. It's down here in West Palm Beach, and it's not by any means anywhere close to the larger events that we go to, like the Ohio State Fair or there's the rodeo in Houston. And we sold over the course of about 3 weeks 5,000 bags of freeze dried candy,
That's insane.
on top of everything else we're selling. So we use that kind of. So we use our customers are really our research feedback,
Yep.
and then it's just a matter of sitting and playing. I mean, we're looking, going, hey, let's try these, and we'll go by everyone every week. Someone comes in with a new candy and says, let's put these in the freeze dryer, and then the good news is, if you're trying to research something or develop something or look at something, there are a lot of people out there who are doing similar things or are asking the same questions. And we go on Facebook all the time and look at for example, the freeze dried groups, and we look at what they're doing and some of their advice. And this guy's saying to try this, so now we're bringing in heaters, so we can, and ovens, so we can get some of the things done quicker. So it really is a lot of just time looking at what's so sort of in order of, I'm all over the place here, but in order, really, it would be customer feedback is number one for us,
Yep.
and then doing research on what else is out there. Those are the two things that really help us. And then testing in our stores, which is really related. So
Right.
we have that line of flavored cashews that we wanted to bring out,
Yep.
just on a whim. We started messing around with it one day, and we took two or three flavors, put them in the store, and within 3 days they were gone.
Yep.
We said, okay,
So
this
then
is
it's
something.
then it becomes a go to market with
Right.
those. Yep. That's awesome. And you actually a minute ago did a perfect segue. Knowing how Amazon and knowing e-commerce, everyone believes they need to be on Amazon or they need to be on Shopify or they need to sell on here or on there or everywhere. Um, and one thing you and I are going to talk about at a later date is going to be shops, Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok shops, which are blowing up as of
Hmm.
now, February 2nd, 2024. Um, how has the multi sales channel aspect of the e-com side worked for you? Like, what have you chosen to do, and what were you like, it's not going to work for me?
We have so we are directly selling on three other platforms right now, retail. We're on Etsy, we're on Amazon, and we're on Walmart. And what we have found is, again, hey, surprise, we're really good at selling the things that we're really good at selling, and not the things that everyone else is selling. Because boy, the lessons you learn over and over again. So on Amazon, for example, we had hundreds of SKUs. We've dropped down to several dozen. And
Awesome.
that's because the way I always put it, and to be beautifully blunt about this, is I have a warehouse and a staff to support. There are people out there who go to manufacturers, they buy a couple of pallets, they have it shipped to Amazon, they sit at home in their underwear on a computer, and they can make 2, 3 points,
Yep.
and they're happy. I can't do that. I want to feed my kids. So um, we have toned down. We have said, well, I'm not going to compete with that person. It's not worth it.
Right.
We have just started doing the things that we do well, and the items that we uniquely have or that not a lot of people have. Again, I'll point to that coffee item.
Yep.
All right. We do that there. We do that on Walmart. It's the same thing. And then we do it on Etsy. Etsy we do particularly well with, because Etsy is more of a, for us,
Hmm.
it's a better platform because it's more of a, people are looking for handmade and things like that. So we do very well with chocolates on there and very well with popcorn
Awesome.
there. So it's really been a good market for us. We are exploring now, putting those same products out onto a marketplace that's not retail. It's called
Hmm.
Fair.
Okay.
It's a wholesale marketplace, and again, I'm not going with candy cigarettes, or I'm
Right.
going on with the things that we can do, and we're just doing that now as another multi-channel, if you will, event. But primarily, it's our sales are, we pick up a couple of grand here and there from Amazon a month, Walmart, and Etsy. There are three big ones. We are looking into things like TikTok Shop
Yep.
and Facebook Shop, and we definitely want to do. I'll have to talk with our agency about it. Um, there's I will admit to a little hesitation about TikTok Shop because they ask a whole lot of personal stuff.
A lot.
So
Even
they're asking for my passport, and I'm still debating.
I know. Yeah.
So
I actually
we're
we
still
were
debating that.
We actually ran into that problem yesterday with a TikTok ad account shop setup, and it was like very personal information that
Yes.
you just feel uncomfortable. And I have no problem sending, Mark Zuckerberg our tax ID number, like no
Right.
issues. But with TikTok, the questions became a little bit more
They
personal.
want driver's license. They want of each owner driver's license. They want your your social security number, and a copy of your passport. So I'm still people are doing very well on it, but I'm still, as one friend of mine said, how much you willing to give up to sell. So we're in the process of debating that and deciding if it's the right move for us.
We're in the same boat.
All right, good. We'll have to work on it together.
Yeah. Um, so in regards to Etsy, just curiosity, have you had to change anything about how you, to your point, Etsy is a very handcrafted, homemade, people to people sales platform.
Hmm.
Um, did you guys tweak anything about the branding or how you're selling the product from a visual standpoint to meet that kind of people to people aspect of it?
Not a ton. The big difference with Etsy is a couple. There are a few things we didn't have to change. I mean, the images that we're using on Etsy are the ones that we're generally using. I
Mhm.
think looking at Etsy helps me realize that some of them could be better. So
Mhm.
we are working on that. The other thing about Etsy is I find that it requires a little more. You have to have more time for communication uh, because it is a much more personalized experience. People will send you a lot more questions. We do have a lot of, I mean, on the website and through Amazon and Walmart, we get a fair amount of questions and comments. But Etsy, it tends to be more personal.
Interesting.
So it tends to be, I'm doing this event and I need this by this date or whatever. So there is a much more personal touch. So we are a little more different in how we respond.
Okay.
We have uh, most of our, for example, most of our social media comments and questions and our email comments and questions from our website go to uh, a help platform. And Etsy, we tend to answer directly on Etsy. I'm not exactly sure why. Maybe that doesn't hook up. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we tend to go into Etsy more and be much more specific. And it does seem like a little more personable. Whereas, an Amazon or a Walmart, someone orders and the next thing you hear from them is, I don't like it. Or
Yeah. It
I
didn't get here on
or,
time.
and I like Etsy better because people don't generally send back a message saying, we need you to refund the order because we changed our mind, which is a big, which is a big issue on Walmart.
Really?
Oh yeah,
That's
yeah.
crazy.
Amazon's a little better at it now, but because we're very particular. It's just this is another thing when you're looking at your channels you sell on. You should look at how it relates to your particular item. So we're very clear on Amazon, and we try to be clear in Walmart that you can't. We don't take returns. If the product is wrong, you got the wrong thing. If it's damaged, that's one thing. But just to say you don't like it doesn't work for me because I can't resell that.
Right.
If once it leaves our hands and it comes back, I can't ethically. If I put it in a box, ship it out to you, and you say I don't want it, and you ship it back, I can't ethically resell that because I have no idea what you did to that box.
Right.
And people don't understand that, and they say, "Well, Publix or the other supermarkets, they take it back." Yeah, they're multi-billion-dollar corporations, and
Right.
they throw it away.
Yeah. Would you want
Uh,
somebody's used chocolate that they're returning?
that's exactly right. So we don't know what they're doing. So that's a bit of it. So you want to really look at those issues. I mean, I know um, several times, for example, either with myself or my wife, we bought products on either Etsy or Amazon or some other marketplaces, and it's been clothing, it's been shirts or whatever, and they send the wrong size, and we say, all right, please send us the right size, we'll send it back, and they say, don't worry, keep it, we'll send you another one. That's great, but I don't have that ability. So just be careful. And the other thing about the platform is just be careful looking at what your costs are. I'd say actually it turns out to be more expensive than people think. But it's still valuable and it's a great resource. It's just, Amazon says this is your percentage. Walmart says Etsy's got a couple other things built in there. So, but they all have their different personalities.
Yeah. No. I appreciate all the insights. as you know, I mean, we're basically just Shopify, Facebook, Instagram,
Right.
Google. And so to hear and learn about other platforms, being that multi channel, I think everybody has, like, my wife is an Etsy buyer. I mean, she just buys everything off of Etsy.
Mhm.
Holidays, birthdays, everything's off of Etsy. I'm an Amazon guy, or direct to consumer. And so everyone has that. And I think that's to your point, is really
Right.
understanding, like, who your customer is, what is your products, and like where are they buying.
Mhm.
We all know, like, the cost to acquire new customers has increased drastically over the years. So to find out where the lowest cost barrier to entry is to find your
Mhm.
audience is super important.
And that I find that especially on Etsy, once you've captured a buyer, more so than any place else I've seen, and maybe our website is about even, I guess, but certainly more than Amazon and Walmart, where it's like you said, it's just kind of I'm looking, I buy something.
Yep.
Etsy, they spend more time and they do develop relationships. I get more repeat business on Etsy, I think, than clearly any other channel.
Wow, that's awesome. Good information. As we're wrapping up, I got one last question for you, and this is the heavy hitter. What advice would you give to someone who is just starting out with their store? They're getting that, like I said, they're at that 10 to 20K a month mark. What's that advice that you would give them?
Don't do it. No. No.
Ken's actually, if you're on YouTube watching this and not listening, Ken is actually a 20-year-old man with multiple grays.
Yeah,
Me
exactly.
too.
20-year-old. I just had a
E-commerce
birthday.
has just aged him.
Exactly. Um, um, I think the biggest thing would be to focus on differentiating yourself. I don't worry so much about carrying every product. I know there are a lot of drop shippers out there who carry the same thing and fighting the same battles. Differentiate yourself. If you're going to build a website, build it around what you do best, and then make your customers understand who you are, or let your customers know who you are. We focus a lot on the fact that we're a family business. Our descriptions say we're a small family-owned business, whatever. I don't know, small, but we say we're a family-owned business. We do a lot so people know. I respond to a lot of customer emails with my email personally, um, so that people know we're talking. We answer the phones, we talk to them. Um, Let people. So really, the two things would be show your uniqueness and let your customers get to know who you are. That's probably the biggest to keep your business. I mean, to grow your business. Unfortunately, it's difficult now, right? To just get out there. You can't just drop a page on Google and become number one. I mean, it's almost impossible. We have a lot of top rankings, but we've been doing this for 20 years. So it's really hard. You have to get in the trenches and do a little bit of SEO, and get that going. And if you really want to make it, you do have to find someone. And it's not a sales pitch again for you guys. I don't want to say that. You really do need to find someone to help you market, either through social media or through Google or Facebook or whatever. You can do it yourself, but you're going to get to the point where you're going to most likely need either in-house help or out help.
Yep.
Um, but it all goes to waste if you're not a genuine. People care a lot about you being a genuine who you are site. So the first and most important thing is establish your identity. Who are you? Why should I buy from you?
Yep.
Right. So for example, let me give a quick.
Yeah.
Our new site, it's called Funfair Treats. And it's really based on the fact that we're out in the fairs, we've done things, and it's the things that we know from working with people directly. These are the things they want.
Yep.
And I can make that case to people. I can say, look, we developed these recipes and whatever else through people in the fair, and it gives a little credibility to it.
Yep.
Hi, I'm Bob. I go to the jobbers online and I buy a bunch of stuff and I put it out here.
Right.
That's different from we're in here, we're making it, we show you how we make it. Credibility, uniqueness, or really staying in your niche are probably the most important things to build your business, but then to grow it, you need to, unfortunately, it's not like it used to be, you need to unfortunately use those tools, either social media marketing or um, Google ads, Bing ads, Facebook, whatever. You need to use those things.
Yeah. And I mean, if you are the ad expert and maybe you're not the branding expert, like wherever you're lacking in your expertise, that's where you need to bring the help in. It might
Exactly.
not, if I mean, I couldn't design a good looking bottle to save my life. So I bring in a designer. So
Hmm.
I think I can speak for Ken and myself in our businesses trying to do everything. You accomplish
You
nothing.
can't. You can't. You can't. It took us a while to learn that in some
Me too.
cases. You
Or
you
these
can't
gray
you can't do
hairs.
it all. You either need to bring in people to do it,
Yep.
or you need to find someone else outsourced to do it. You just can't do it all.
Yep.
Absolutely
So
not.
so as we wrap up, what is on the horizon for bulkcandystore.com, funfairtreats.com, the fairs? What is the goals for you guys in the coming months, years,
Our
time frame irrelevant?
Yeah, our goals are pretty simple. We're given the challenging landscape online, our goal is again to focus on us, on
Yep.
what we can do. We're focusing, we're putting a lot more effort into our retail store, because our retail store is very unique.
Mhm.
It's unique in the fact that you don't know it's there. It's a big purple and yellow warehouse,
It's an
literally on a
experience.
lot in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's in a major city, but it's not on a major road. Well, it's on a major road, but there's housing developments nearby, and there's other. So we're not like in a shopping center, so we're going to be spending a lot more time marketing to people who don't know what we are. I personally, it's weird to me because they drive by and there's a sign out front with a bunch of candy and a 15-foot lollipop. But a lot of people say, "Look, I drive by. I didn't know I could go in."
Right.
Um, we made a huge advancement just recently by putting up a big banner that says "Open to the public." It said retail store, but no one ever noticed that.
Interesting.
The lesson there, by the way, people don't always understand what you think you're saying.
Right.
Retail store didn't help. Open to the public, big yellow banner. A lot more people are coming in. So we're spending a
Wow.
lot more time building the store, because then those people are exactly what you want. 90% of those are repeat customers. Once they're in, they stay here. And then online, at the same time, we're focusing on building really building our niches, building out the things that we know we can do. We will continue to sell the other things because we have them for the store and the fairs,
Of course.
but we really are going to focus on the things that we do best and that
That's
we do.
awesome. Perfect. I'm looking forward to it. More popcorn, more chocolate, all delicious. Um, where can people find you to order some amazing popcorn? Or I think last you told me you were doing Pringle covered chocolates.
Yes.
Where can they find you? Order some and check out Bulk Candy.
Bulkcandystore.com is the best place right now. That's the only site we have right now. The other one will be up and live in probably a month or two. That's the other thing. It does take a while to build a good site. And if you're doing it on your own, especially. But if you have help from an agency or someone, it does help.
Yep.
But we are looking at bulkcandystore.com has the thousands of products we talked about, over 70 flavors of popcorn, a variety of chocolates. You can get a 4-foot peanut butter cup from us,
And
and
they're
pretty
pretty
soon
remarkable. You've never seen
it is,
anything like it.
and it's very tasty.
Yeah.
You will add chocolate covered Oreos. Pretty soon you'll be able to take your peanut butter cup and put in whatever topping you want as well.
That's
So
awesome.
we're always working on innovation like that. But bulkcandystore.com. If you happen to be in West Palm Beach, come visit the store. It's in West Palm, and if you're at either the Houston Livestock and Rodeo Show, the Ohio State Fair, any of those places, come visit us. You'll be thrilled.
Awesome. Well, Ken, thank you very much for your time this morning. You provided immense value, as I knew you would. And we'll talk soon.
Hey, thank you.